This is Taylor from Nuts and Bolts Speed Training with a great question I received about moving from Excel to PowerPoint. Lindsay wrote, I love the videos. It's probably the best resource I found for understanding the nuances of PowerPoint. So let's get into the nuances of Lindsay's question down here below, which is in transferring from Excel to PowerPoint, what is the best way to do it? Should we link our spreadsheet? Should we paste them as pictures? And I also want to look into the second part of her question, which is how do you create pre-formatted charts and tables in the Slide Master? We're actually not going to do this on the Slide Master. We're going to do this in the normal view, but the goal is going to be the same to have our charts have the same aesthetic, look, and feel in every presentation. So I'm going to dive into all of this in this video with the goal to help get you to happy hour. But first, if you want to support the channel and learn everything there is to know about PowerPoint, check out our PowerPoint Pro membership in the description box below. So let's get into with the 4 different ways to move from Excel to PowerPoint. You can paste as a picture. You can embed your Excel file inside of PowerPoint. You can link Excel to PowerPoint, or what I recommend, and I'll show you some tricks for doing this at the end of this video, you can build these tables and charts natively in PowerPoint. That said, I do want to get into these individual other ways because either you're bound to do it, your colleague's bound to do it, your client's bound to do it. So I want to look at what goes wrong when you look at pasting as pictures, embedding, and linking in PowerPoint. And let's start by pasting Excel as a picture and why I don't recommend it. First off, you have a couple of options if you're going to paste as a picture, which are just good to know in general. You can use your screen clipping shortcut, Windows Shift S, or you can use your paste special shortcut. And I'm also going to use numerous times throughout this video the Alt Tab switch application shortcut, which I recommend everybody should know. So if I come in here to PowerPoint, let's go look at our Excel file. And we have this Apple revenue 2005 to 2019. Now, if we're going to do a screen clipping, that's just Windows Shift S. Your screen is going to gray out. You're going to get a little cursor. You just click and drag to take a screen clipping of anything on your screen. Control V to paste. We'll paste in that as a picture. Now, I'd recommend instead, I'm going to do this for this table first. I'm going to Control C to copy. I'm going to Alt Tab back to PowerPoint, and I'm going to Control Alt V for Paste Special. You can also find this option in the Home tab, the Paste dropdown. There's the Paste Special. If I hover to discover, you can see Control Alt V. So Control Alt V for a table will give me the enhanced metafile format, which is newer than the Windows metafile format. So I recommend using this picture format. Click OK, and I get a picture of my Excel table here in PowerPoint. If I Alt Tab back, I can do the same thing with my chart. Control C to copy, Alt Tab back to PowerPoint, Control Alt V to paste special. This time, because it's a chart, I get the PNG, JPEG, GIF. I'm just going to choose PNG because it's higher quality, high resolution, and you can see a picture of my PowerPoint chart now here in PowerPoint. Now, that's how to do it, but there's 5 problems when pasting as a picture. Number 1, a spreadsheet, an Excel spreadsheet, does not make a great presentation just because it's a spreadsheet. For example, if this was your goal, was simply to show revenue growth from 2005 to 2019, instead of having the table, you'd want to put a % CAGR in or make a graphic showing these 2 numbers or some kind of trend line moving. So a good spreadsheet does not make a great presentation. You're going to want to watch out for filters. The filters that can be up here kind of look ugly in PowerPoint, grid lines, other Excel formatting. All right, the formatting in Excel, this is Calibri, is not currently matching my PowerPoint spreadsheet. So this is something you'll need to look out for if you're going to do this. You also need to look out for cell borders. If you can tell here on YouTube, these borders are actually thicker than the borders up top. So picture borders in table cells like this appear thicker, which makes your presentations look less professional. Another key point is you cannot update your table or chart as a picture here. So someone has to recreate this, convert your picture back into text, back into a table, which is possible, but it's not super easy to do right off the bat. And the biggest thing to be aware of when you're pasting these pictures here into PowerPoint is they're super easy to warp. So someone can very easily warp, not knowing what they're doing, your picture. If this happens to you, you can Picture Format tab, Picture Resize or drop down, Reset Picture and Size will reformat the picture to the size it was originally placed in your presentation. If you're going to resize a picture in PowerPoint, hold the Shift key to keep the aspect ratio. So that's just a couple reasons why or problems with pasting as a picture into PowerPoint. Now, if you're going to do it anyway, which you might be bound to do, so if you're going to go Excel, use the paste special, and then come in here to PowerPoint, I have some things to keep in mind. I would recommend setting up a blank part of your model with the correct formatting. So the correct font sizes, the correct sizes of the font. I would take away your grid lines, make a very clean snapshot of your model or your spreadsheet that you want to bring into PowerPoint. That'll help out with the professionalism of your presentation. I recommend consolidating your main points again. If you have a table of numbers and you really are just trying to highlight these last two, don't paste in all of the other numbers that aren't relevant to your presentation. So really try to consolidate your main points that you want to present. You're always going to need to send your spreadsheet to anyone who needs to update or edit the data within the pictures, because you cannot natively edit pictures in PowerPoint. You have to reconvert your pictures back into text, or reconvert your broken link charts, which we'll get to in a little bit, back into text. And just be aware that you are taking a shortcut. If you're pasting a picture into PowerPoint, you are losing usability, you're losing functionality, and you're losing design. So make sure that taking this shortcut is worth it to you for your presentations. So that's pasting as a picture. Now let's look at your next option you have, which is essentially taking Excel and just embedding it right into PowerPoint, which gives you some pros, but to me, again, this is mostly cons. But let's just look at how to do this. And the first thing to be aware of is, to do this properly, you have to have this Show Paste Options button when content is pasted selected. Mine, by default, keeps turning itself off, so you need to know how to turn this back on if this happens to you. So here's exactly how you do it. I'll come back here into PowerPoint. You need to come to the File tab. You come to Options down below. And here in the PowerPoint options, you simply come and find Advanced. And here in the Cut, Copy, and Paste, you want to make sure you have a check mark next to Show Paste Options button when content is pasted. And you'll see exactly how this works as I show you how to embed stuff here in PowerPoint. So what we're going to do, we're just going to simply copy and paste our Excel data. We're going to use what we just opened up, which is that Control Paste Options effect, to either embed tables, or you have some other options with your charts. So I'm going to Alt-Tab back to Excel. Let's start with a table. I'll Control-C to copy, Alt-Tab, Control-V to paste. These are the paste options we just turned on. I can either click it with my mouse or just hit the Control key on my keyboard. Here you have, this is destination styles. This is keeping the styles from our Excel spreadsheet. Here's the embed option. If I select embed, that Excel file is now embedded here in PowerPoint. If I double click it, you can see I now have an Excel file of my spreadsheet here in PowerPoint, and I'll talk about some of the downfalls of doing this in just a second. Let's Alt-Tab back to Excel. Let's try this with a chart. So I'll Control-C to copy, Alt-Tab. I'm going to Control-V to paste, hit Control from my paste options. Here you have the first two are your embed options. So use the destination theme. So use my PowerPoint formatting, or keep my Excel formatting. You're most likely going to keep your PowerPoint formatting so it matches a little bit better. And there you can see, if I right click, edit data, I'm going to open up that spreadsheet. It looks like Excel, but notice it says chart in Microsoft PowerPoint. So this is, again, an embedded sheet inside of PowerPoint. It's not the Excel spreadsheet that we were using just a second ago. Now, a couple things to be aware of. Your entire spreadsheet is now inside of PowerPoint, including, and this is the big catch, any hidden sheets. So for example, if I double click, this is an embedded PowerPoint file. If I double click, if I right click the sheets down below and select unhide, I left a confidential sheet in this presentation. So if you send this presentation to someone with this embedded Excel file and you didn't scrub out your confidential information, someone can get all of that confidential information directly here in PowerPoint. The next thing is this zoom out formatting. As you scroll, the way this works is I scroll down, you'll see that the picture, or what's shown here in PowerPoint, changes. If I double click, if I scroll to the top. So this kind of like zoom in, zoom out formatting can sometimes be difficult to work with as you're trying to figure out what you're going to actually show or not show here in PowerPoint. Another downfall of this is you can't link different parts of an embedded spreadsheet to different parts of your slides. So if I wanted to, right, you would think that because I now have this Excel spreadsheet here in PowerPoint, if I wanted to copy this bit of data, Control-C to copy, click into PowerPoint, and Control-V to paste, right? Even if I embed, right, this now creates two embedded tables here in PowerPoint, and they're all obviously easy to warp again. So this is now one embedded document. This is now two embedded documents of the same document here in the same PowerPoint file. And I also want to make the point that there is no correlation to your original Excel data. So once you've embedded one of these files, this is 100% a different spreadsheet or a different financial model than the one that's sitting on your desktop. So you don't want to make the mistake of, if this was the one on my desktop, of trying to update this one and expecting this one in your PowerPoint presentation to update. That is a different type of embedding, and we're going to get to linking in just a second, like right now. So linking Excel to PowerPoint. So the goal here is really great. You are trying to set up a situation whereas as you update your data in Excel, it gets pushed, or the differences get pushed to PowerPoint. So this seems like the holy grail of Excel to PowerPoint, but there are some things to be aware of. So first off, this is very similar to what we just did with embedding. If I come into PowerPoint, I'm going to Alt-Tab back to Excel. If I Control, let's just do this with the chart. I'm going to Control-C to copy the chart, Alt-Tab back to PowerPoint. I'm going to Control-V to paste. I'm going to open up the paste special options. And notice here's the linking. So the first two are embedding options. This is linking. So linking use destination theme or linking using the source formatting. Typically, again, you're always going to want to use the formatting that's here in your PowerPoint presentation. And the goal, the holy grail, I'll just hold shift and kind of make this bigger. The goal here and why this is a great option, or seems like a great option, is if I now go back to Excel and I change this, the 2019 number, let's just do this, Alt-Tab. Let's just change this to 360 billion, which is not true, but I hit enter. My chart here in Excel changes. I Alt-Tab back to PowerPoint, and the chart here also changes. So this is great linking, all right, when it works, but it's very easy to break a link. If you rename your file in any way, including version 2, that will break the link in your presentation. If you move your file to a new location on your computer, that will break the link, which includes sending your file to a colleague, all right? They must reestablish the link on their machine if they also want to be able to update and use that information. So to me, this really creates this tug of war when sharing your documents, and getting this, the linked file is not available, is super annoying if you're working on your presentation at 11 o'clock at night and you're trying to finish it before tomorrow morning. So this is why I personally really don't like linked files. I get these all the time, and I oftentimes will just recreate the chart. Now, if you do get, let me just give you a demonstration of this. If you do get a broken link and someone sends you the file, so if I right click, edit data, so this linked file is no longer linked, you can, all right, from the File tab, Info, Edit Linked Files, you can change the source. So I'm going to File, Info. I'm going to scroll down. Right below Related Documents, you have Edit Linked to Files. I'm going to click on that. I'm going to click Change Source. So this is my original one, my broken link. I changed it to Broken Link version 2. I know I did it on purpose. I'm going to come to my desktop. There's Apple Annual Revenue, Broken Link version 2. If I click that, click Open, click Close, all right, that linked file, let's see if this works, should now open right back up. So this is linked data to the spreadsheet. This is now good to go. I can update and edit the links, and now the spreadsheet will update. But as soon as I then send it back to my colleague, all right, going back to this tug-of-war effect, they're going to have to do that same thing again. This is why oftentimes when people either embed or link stuff into PowerPoint and want me to work on their slides or do something with their slides, I oftentimes recreate it natively in PowerPoint, which gives you so much more power, and it's so much easier than you think. So this is now getting to the second part of Lindsay's question. So how do we create pre-formatted charts and templates on the Slide Master? Again, we're not going to do this on the Slide Master with the goal of making everything look amazing. So let's start with building and formatting your tables natively in PowerPoint, which is easier than you think. The tables can be a total pain because they operate differently, but the key here is to use the tools that PowerPoint provides you. If you think of this as a workbench, most people completely ignore all of the default table tools that PowerPoint's already built for you, which ensures that you're going to spin your wheels and waste your time. So let's just look at 4 of my favorite PowerPoint table tricks. The first is you really want to use whatever's in the table design and the table layout tab. So if this is a PowerPoint table, if I come to the table design, notice you have header row options for header row formatting. I can ban my rows automatically, which is much faster than manually trying to do this yourself. You have a total row option, just thing to be aware of here. This total row option is formatting only. This is not a calculated sum. So the first thing is to really just use these formatting options that PowerPoint gives you, and they give you a whole bunch of different colors based on your theme. The one I usually use is just this gray one. So that's the first tip. Oh, and your layout tab, you have the options to, resize your rows manually. You resize your columns. Well, now I've really messed it up. Let me just click them forward. Resize your columns. You can distribute your columns. There's a bunch of tools up here to automatically get your table to work instead of trying to manually do this yourself. The next thing to watch is your interior margins, especially if you're pasting data in from Excel. So if I right click and I come to format shape, you want to come to the text box options, size and properties, text box, open those up. So your margins will typically, if you're pasting from Excel, will come in without any left margins, right margins, or maybe they'll come in with too tall of top margins. So you really want to use your margins to kind of resize your table to the size that fits your presentation best. Another big one when moving from Excel to PowerPoint is looking out for hidden spacing. And by hidden spacing, that comes in with the accounting style formatting. And I actually have some in this one. Notice if I double click, look at all of this extra space that shows up inside my table. This is PowerPoint trying to match my formatting, which was the accounting style, which if I just come down here to the last one, the effect you're going for is to create that full level underline. So the accounting style formatting in Excel, let's just assume that this was, I've made my table too small to grab now. Trying to get that last row bold. Let's just use the total row. You're trying to get that underline. That doesn't look good with the line and the underline, but you get the effect. So you're trying to get that underline. This is spaces that you'll want to delete out of your table because as you start to collapse your table here in PowerPoint, your columns are going to stack up as you can see all of that extra spacing. So I'm going to Control-Z to undo that. So watch out for hidden spacing. And once you finally have a table design that you like, for example, this one, what you can do to set it default is here in the table design styles window, you can right click and select set as default. Now this is not going to set as default all of the formatting adjustments you made to your table. What it's going to apply is all of your headers, totals, banded rows, so that if I now go insert a table here in my presentation, you can see that it's going to come in with whatever defaults I set. So this is the closest you can get to setting a default table style, and then every table after the fact, so after you've set this as the default style, every table after the effect will have all of that formatting. Now there's a lot more to get into with PowerPoint tables, so I do plan on doing a PowerPoint deep dive. If you want me to make that video first, please let me know in the comments and I will put it here on YouTube as soon as I have it because I have gotten a lot of other table questions, but those are my first 4 big table tips. Now, when it comes to building and formatting your charts natively in PowerPoint, this is way easier than you think and probably the best charting trick that most people don't know about. And the thing here is, if you take this default chart in PowerPoint and you format it to look like this, if you know all of the tips and tricks and shortcuts, it could take you 30 seconds, which is super fast. But once you've formatted a chart, it should take you about 3 seconds to reapply that formatting to any other chart in your presentation. So this is getting to making your charts look consistent because it'll be your font styles, your data labels, your sizes, your axes, your widths, your shape fills, your legends, your series names, the whole 9 yards. And the goal here is You really want to let PowerPoint do your garbage tasks for you. If this is PowerPoint to you, think of PowerPoint as collecting, sorting, and pushing all of these different tasks around, and manually formatting your charts, which a lot of people still do, is one of the biggest garbage tasks you can do in PowerPoint because it takes a ton of time. You have to double check it, and PowerPoint can automatically do it for you. So this is what's called a chart template, and it's a two-step process. So let's just walk through this. Here is a chart. Let's say this is formatted exactly the way I want it. Maybe I want these to be bold. Maybe I don't. Maybe I want to, well, let's just say this is the way I want my chart. What you're going to do is you're going to right-click your chart. You're going to click Save as Template. Save as Template. I've already saved one. I'm going to call this one my single series dark blue total. So you're going to type, and I recommend being as descriptive as possible because as you start to save a bunch of chart templates, it's hard to find them if you don't name them properly. You're going to click Save. So right-click your chart, save as chart template, add a descriptive name, and click OK. Once you've done that, and this chart had about 16 or 17 formatting adjustments to it, if you come to another chart in your deck, this is a default chart here in PowerPoint, you can apply all of these chart formatting adjustments in just about 3 seconds by right-clicking your chart, change chart type. Notice you have this templates bucket up here. Click the templates bucket. I did the dark blue total. I select it. I click OK. And PowerPoint automatically applies all of that chart formatting here to my chart, including my axis widths, my shape fills, my border outlines, my data labels, my data label formatting. It even brings over this kind of dark blue total row for my chart. So that is, for chart templates, is probably the best charting trick that most people don't know about in PowerPoint. And it also carries over to Word and Excel as well. So if you save a chart template here in PowerPoint, Word, or Excel, you can apply those templates to your other ones. And I'll do a deep dive on charts and chart templates a little bit later that I'll also stick up here on YouTube. So those are my responses to what is the best way to move from Excel to PowerPoint, embedding, linking, or other. Now I'm curious to know what you think. Let me know in the comment section below what your favorite way to move from Excel to PowerPoint is. And again, if you want to help support the channel and learn everything there is to know about PowerPoint, check out our PowerPoint Pro membership in the description box below. This is Taylor from Nuts and Bolts Speed Training, and I'll see you at Happy Hour.